What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and listen, on this channel, we do all kinds of comparisons. We do data dives, we do trend analysis, we do all kinds of things to give us some idea of what the heck has happened in the past, because it might give us some insight as to what could happen in the future. You work hard for your money, I work hard for my money, and I always try and make sure I have the best information at my fingertips that I can when I decide to spend my hard-earned money. So that is what we do on this channel, and we have a ton of fun along the way, and we're gonna have a ton of fun today too. So obviously, whenever you're gonna talk Prismatic Evolutions, the hottest new set that has been announced for Pokemon, it is going to draw comparisons to Evolving Skies, and in some way that is fair, and in some ways it isn't. You know, one is a specialty set, one's a regular set, one came out a little over 3 years ago, and I promise you, I feel like the Pokemon collecting and investing space today is very different than it was 3 years ago. I think people are realizing these awesome sets earlier on. I think people are buying them out earlier on than they did. I mean, even Evolving Skies, we saw booster boxes come out, we saw the price come down for a little while before it started to shoot back up. Singles cards would come out, the prices would come down for a little while, and then they would shoot back up. We're just not seeing that right now. We're seeing a lot of these great products get scooped up and hoarded pretty early because people understand that there's a lot of opportunity here. So I do think the investing and collecting space is a little bit different. So we're not just going to talk Evolving Skies. We're going to compare a lot of these special illustration Eeveelution cards to what I consider some one-for-one comparisons from the Sword and Shield era. Again, not a fair comparison, different era, different types of cards, different types of sets, but when I'm trying to get an idea of what these cards might be capable of doing in the long run, I think that's the best way to do it, and we're going to do a deep dive today and have a ton of fun along the way. So if you enjoy this type of content, we do fun stuff like it all the time. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below. So with that out of the way, anytime you're going to be talking Evolving Skies, obviously you have to lead off with the Moonbryon. And when I look at the Moonbryon and when I look at the Umbreon, the special illustration rare that's going to be coming out in Prismatic Evolutions, I gotta tell you a couple things. First off, I like the Moonbryon artwork much better. I just think it's a cleaner card. I think it's very, very iconic. I think there's a lot going for it. Now, I will also say that out of all of the Eeveelution special illustration rares, I like the Umbreon the best. I'll tell you before we get into the video, I am not a huge fan of the bedazzled crown thing that all of these, the Terra crowns that they all have over them. This one's kind of a psychedelic looking card, so I think that's kind of cool. And again, out of all the special illustration rares, this one is my favorite, but I do think the Umbreon from Evolving Skies has much better artwork to it. So when you look at this, the other thing I wanted to call out, and I'm going to show you the price graph for all of these cards I'm comparing it to over the last year, is, you know, remember, Evolving Skies has been out for a little over 3 years. It came out in August of 2021. And this card has doubled. The Moonbryon has doubled in value over the last year. 1 year ago, it was a $500 card. Nothing to shake a fist at. That is a huge, huge price point for an ultra-modern Pokemon card, and yet it is still over doubled, right? It's at $1,150 right now for the raw copies. And so that I just want to kind of frame it up with that, because I don't know how much of a production there's going to be for this. Again, Evolving Skies was a regular set. This is a specialty set. I have no doubt that your local card shops, Target, Walmart, everybody is just going to be absolutely bombarded with Elite Trainer boxes. If Pokemon Company has any desire to drive huge profits, they will do that because they know how popular this set is going to be. But it's going to be interesting to see at what price point this special illustration rare Umbreon comes out. Whether it's fair, whether it's not, whether it's justified, whether it's not, everybody is going to compare this and call it the next Moonbryon. We'll have to see whether it is or isn't, but it is going to be something that a lot of people are going to be comparing it to. So for me, I just want to remember that it took a couple years for this Moonbryon to get up to $500. Then it took another year for it to double to $1,100. So it's going to be interesting to see. But again, this special illustration rare from the Evolution set here, I really like it. I love the artwork. I think it's awesome. It's going to be my favorite, and I think it's going to be everybody's favorite, so I'm certainly not a voice of one there. Next card is the Leafeon. So Leafeon's another one that had a alt art VMAX in Evolving Skies, obviously another big ticket card. Again, $257 right now. Now, it did go through that Pokemon pop and flop after all the booster boxes started to sell out here and the Pokemon Center in the US. Everybody kind of FOMO'd in, was going after these alt arts. So it got all the way up to over $350. It's been working its way down ever since. We talk about support lines, right? It's getting near that $250 mark. I wouldn't be surprised if this Leafeon from Evolving Skies starts to level off right around $250. We'll have to see where it goes from there. But this Leafeon special illustration, I actually like the artwork on that one too. I love the fact that it's chilling up there in a tree. I don't think it's overly busy. I think the busyness kind of fits with the card. So I like this artwork too. Now again, this card is going to command a big premium. How big? I don't know. I think it's going to depend on the other special illustration rares that we look at. I think no matter what, the Umbreon is going to be number one, but it's going to be interesting to see which one comes out at number 2, 3, and 4. So speaking of 2, 3, and 4, let's look at the next one right here. And Besides the Moonbreon and Evolving Skies, this Glaceon is my favorite card. I think it is awesome. I love any card that has multiple Pokemon on it. You have this alt art. You got Pikachu chilling there in the foreground. I love the art on this one. I think it's an absolute stunner. But again, this is another card. It was $140 a year ago. We want to keep that in our minds as we think about Prismatic Evolutions and what these cards could start off with, right? Evolving Skies was the set, the #1 set of the Sword and Shield era. And I'm not saying that Prismatic Evolutions won't be, but remember, the set of the Sword and Shield era, it took you 2 years for this card to get up to that $140 mark. Again, same thing as before. We see the spike, we see it's coming back down, and it looks like it's leveling off right at $125. And you know, the Special Illustration Rare to the right, I like it. I think it's a little bit blended in. There's a whole lot of blue going on there. I would have liked if it had a little more contrast, like the one from Evolving Skies. You can clearly see Glaceon standing out against the woods in the background, and the one on the right just seems a little bit blended together. So we shall see. It doesn't matter. Listen, I've learned that my taste in Pokemon art means nothing, right? The Greninja EX from Twilight Masquerade is a super busy card with a lot going on, and it's going at $300 right now. So don't take my word on what art the hobby is going to love and what art they aren't. I'm just simply telling you what I think about this. Now, the next one right here is another one from both sets that I really like. I love the Sylvan from Prismatic Evolutions. Matter of fact, I would even say I like the artwork better than the one from Evolving Skies, and I completely think that everybody's going to disagree with me around that. But I do like that artwork. I like the fact that there's enough contrast so that you can see Sylvan kind of popping out. And I love the fact that, you know, the big thing about Sylvan is you got the pinks and the pastel blues, and I think all of that's really well represented. Now, if you look at the one from Evolving Skies, again, a year ago, $120 card, goes through the pop, goes through the flop, and it is leveled off right at that $200 mark. So again, we're talking about a card that is a little over 3 years old from the biggest set from the Sword and Shield era, is kind of finally starting to level off right there after that irrational pop and then the subsequent drop, starting to level off right around $200. So another thing I'm going to keep in mind as we start seeing these cards hitting the market. Again, January, it's November right now, right? We've got multiple months until these cards start hitting the market, and I think it's so cool that we got these leaks on the Special Illustration Rares early so we can start talking about them and thinking about them now. Next one right here is the Esperon, and I know this is not from Evolving Skies. Spoiler alert, not all of these are going to be from Evolving Skies, right? This is the one from Fusion Strike, and I know that there's a V alt art from Evolving Skies, but guess what? This VMAX from Fusion Strike, it's worth more money, so that is the one that's on the list and the one we're going to draw the comparison to. But again, a year ago, this card was sitting at $100. It has gone through the spike, it has gone through the drop, it's sitting at $185 right now. You know, the artwork for the new one and the Special Illustration Rare is really awesome, but again, the thing that we have seen throughout these first multiple cards that we have looked at is awesome artwork for these Eeveelutions can hold a price point way north of $175, even after everything is said and done, even after crazy spikes and crazy drops and 3+ years. Like, people love Eeveelutions, and that's really what I'm taking away from this. Now, another thing I'm taking away is I'm trying to see after 3 years where are these prices at, you know, especially things. Fusion Strike is a wildly popular set, Evolving Skies, as I said, is the big one. So those are the things that I'm thinking about as I go through this. So I love these cards right here. Next one we're going to talk about is the Jolteon, and I really struggled with which Jolteon to pick from the Sword and Shield era, and I decided to go with this one. So this is a promo card, believe it or not, but I love the artwork. It's a $42. It's a VMAX. I decided to stick with all of the VMAXs, and this was one that was available in a box, right? You could buy the box at Walmart, and it came with a couple different promos. This was the VMAX variant of it, but I'm not a huge fan of this Special Illustration Rare from Prismatic Evolutions. I'm just not. It's okay. You're not going to love every card. You don't have to love every card. I'm sure there are cards that I love that you don't, but I'm not a huge fan of this one. And when I was looking at it again, this card right here, it's hard to be with a promo because, again, if you want this, you can go out and buy the box and get the card. When you're talking about trying to pull a card from a set, it's much harder. It's going to command a premium because you got to actually get lucky and pull it, or you have to buy it on the secondary market after somebody else got lucky and pulled it. So it's always going to command a much higher premium versus these generic promos that you can get in any box in Target or Walmart, etc., etc. So I do think that this Jolteon Special Illustration Rare will probably outperform this one, especially over the course of 3 years. But from an artwork perspective, I'm taking the promo. Now, of course, if I did that promo, I've got to do the Vaporean promo as well. And I like the Vaporean artwork here. This Special Illustration Rare from Prismatic Evolutions, I like this a lot. I think there's some great contrast. I even don't mind the bejeweled crown at the very top. It seems to stand out a lot. So I am a big fan of this. And again, this is just another one. Think about it. This is a promo card from a box from Walmart, right? And it is sitting at $41 right now. It has been growing steadily over the last couple years, and the PSA 10 variants of this are through the roof. Now, again, it's coming from one of those boxes, so really hard to get this card in a PSA 10 gem-worthy condition straight from the box. But again, you see that there's just tons of interest and tons of love for these Eeveelutions, and I think that is why everybody is buying this product as quickly as they can, because they understand it's going to be a very special product. It's going to command a ton of money. And any of these cards, again, outside of the Umbreon, which I feel really good is going to be the #1 chase card in this set. Outside of that one, there's still going to be a whole lot of chase for these. And remember, we don't even know all the special illustration rares yet, for goodness sakes. We're just talking about this because we got leaks as to what the Eeveelution ones will look like. There's still going to be, I don't know, there's going to be like 20 more. So this set could just absolutely be a set for the ages. I have no doubt. And even what we know right now, it says it's going to be super special. The next one right here is the Flareon. Okay, again, I went with the same thing. Again, those boxes from Walmart, there were 3 different ones, another Black Star promo here. This was obviously the less desirable of the group, but even with that being said, it's sitting at $27. And when you look at the artwork on this special illustration rare on the left, right, I do like it a little bit more than the Jolteon right there. So it'll be interesting to see where this one ends up. And then there was no Eevee. I couldn't find a great Eevee to compare the special illustration rare from Prismatic Evolutions to in the Sword and Shield era. But I do think that looking at these cards and seeing how similar Sword and Shield eras have performed, all I know is this. I know that there is a ton of hype around this set. We talk about in the short run, it's a voting machine. In the long run, the markets are a weighing machine. I think this has the weight. It certainly has the votes. I think this set is going to be very, very special. So it's going to be fascinating to see how everybody reacts to this. I have a ton of content that I want to do. I'm going to do some deep dives into how some of those Sword and Shield cards moved over the first year of their life cycle, right? Let's see how they moved. And again, it might not be a 1-for-1, but it's going to be really interesting to do those data dives. So if you're interested in seeing that, you want to be one of the first ones to catch it, hit that subscribe button. If you got questions or comments, drop them down below. And as always, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. I appreciate you so much for watching. I hope you have an epic one. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.